Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the reading of J.M. Singer's Riders to the Sea. Riders to the Sea is considered one of the greatest tragedies in English dramatic tradition. It is often called the greatest modern tragedy or a rural tragedy, not in the Aristotelian sense. In the Aristotelian sense of tragedy, it's always a noble man, a man of a higher quality, a king usually, who falls from his higher position to a lower position because he has a flaw, hamasya as they call it. But the characters in J.M. Singer's Riders to the Sea are neither higher beings nor are they kings, nor do they have a flaw. It's simply that these characters have to face their fate that they have to base their lives on the whims and fancies of the sea. This play particularly captures the life of Maurya, who has already lost her husband's father, and her 4 sons to the sea. Now her other son Michael has been lost on the sea for 9 days and his body has not been found. The only other remaining son is Bartley, apart from her 2 daughters Cathleen and Nora. Bartley also wants to go on the boat to sell his horse. Maurya cannot stop him. Maurya knows for sure that Michael is dead and that Bartley will be lost too. But that's the life of these people, that they cannot but go to the sea. Because as Cathleen says, it's the life of a young man to be going on the sea. Now, let us begin the reading of Riders to the Sea. Riders to the Sea by John Millington Synge, a play in 1 act. An island off the west of Ireland. Cottage kitchen with nets, oilskins, spinning wheel, some new boards standing by the wall, etc. Cathleen, a girl of about 20, finishes kneading cake and puts it down in the pot oven by the fire, then wipes her hands and begins to spin the wheel. Nora, a young girl, puts her head in at the door.
Where is she?
She's lying down. God help her. Maybe sleeping, if she's able.
Nora comes in softly and takes a bundle from under her shawl. Cathleen,
What?
spinning the wheel rapidly.
What is it you have?
The young priest is after bringing them. It's a shirt and a plain stocking we got off the drowned man in Donnelly.
Cathleen stops her wheel with a sudden movement and leans out to listen.
We are to find out if it's Michael's they are. Sometime herself will be down looking by the sea.
How would they be Michael's, Nora? How would he go the length of that way to the far north?
The young priest says he's known the like of it. If it's Michael's they are, says he, you can tell herself he's got a clean burial by the grace of God. And if they are not his, let no one say a word about them, for she'll be getting her death, says he, with crying and lamenting.
The door, which Nora half closed, is blown open by a gust of wind.
Did you ask him? Would he stop Bartley going this day with the horses to the Galway fair?
I won't stop him, says he, but let ye not be afraid. Herself does be saying prayers half through the night, and the Almighty God won't leave her destitute, says he, with no son living.
Is the sea bad with white rocks, Nora?
Middling bad, God help us. There is a great roaring in the west, and it's worse we'll be getting when the tides turn to the wind. Shall I open it now?
Maybe she'd wake up on us and come in before we're done. It's a long time we'll be, and the two of us crying.
Nora goes to the inner door and listens.
She's moving about in the bed. She'll be coming in a minute.
Give me the ladder. I'll put them up in the turf loft. The way she won't know of them at all. And maybe when the tide turns, she'll be going down to see would he be floating from the east.
They put the ladder against the gable of the chimney. Cathleen goes up a few steps and hides the bundle in the turf loft. Maurya comes from the inner room. Maurya, looking up at Cathleen and speaking querulously.
Isn't it turf enough you have for this day and evening?
There's a cake baking at the fire for a short space, and Bartley will want it when the tide turns if he goes to Connemara.
He won't go this day with the wind racing from the south and west. He won't go this day, for the young priest will stop him surely.
He'll not stop him, mother. And I heard Eamon Simon and Stephen Preethi and Colin Sean saying he would go.
Where is he itself?
He went down to see would there be another boat sailing in the week. And I'm thinking it won't be long till he's here now, for the tide's turning at the Greenhead and the hookers tacking from the east.
I hear someone passing the big stones.
He's coming now, and he in a hurry.
Bartley comes in and looks round the room, speaking sadly and quietly.
Where is the bit of new rope Cathleen was bought in Connemara?
Cathleen, coming down.
Give it to him, Nora. It's on a nail by the white boards. I hung it up in this morning, for the pig with the black feet was eating it.
Nora, giving him a rope.
Is that it, Bartley?
You do right to leave that rope, Bartley, hanging by the boats. It will be wanting in this place. I'm telling you, if Michael is washed up tomorrow morning, or the next morning, or any morning in the week, for it's a deep grave we'll make him by the grace of God.
Bartley, beginning to work with the rope.
I've no halt to the way I can ride down on the mare, and I must go now quickly. This is the one boat going for 2 weeks or beyond it, and the fare will be a good fare for horses, I heard them saying below.
It's a hard thing they'll be saying below if the body is washed up and there's no man in it to make the coffin. And I after giving a big price for the finest white boats you'd find in Connemara.
She looks round at the boats.
How would it be washed up? And we after looking each day for 9 days, and a strong wind blowing a while back from the west and south?
If it wasn't found itself, that wind is racing the sea, and there was a star up against the moon, and it rising the night. If it was 100 horses or 1,000 horses you had itself, what is the price of 1,000 horses against a sun where there is one sun only?
Bartley, working at the halter, to Cathleen.
Let you go down each day and see the sheep aren't jumping in on the rye. And if the jobber comes, you can sell the pig with the black feet if there is a good price going.
How would the like of her get a good price for a pig?
Bartley, to Cathleen.
If the west wind holds with the last bit of the moon, let you and Nora get a wheat enough for another cock for the kelp. Its hard set will be from this day, with no one in it but one man to work.
Its hard set will surely be, the day you're drowned with the rest. What way will I live, and the girls with me, and I an old woman looking for the grave?
Bartley lays down the halter, takes off his old coat, and puts on a newer one of the same flannel.
Is she coming to the pyre?
She's passing the Greenhead and letting fall her sails.
I'll have half an hour to go down, and you'll see me coming again in 2 days, or in 3 days, or maybe in 4 days if the wind is bad.
Isn't it a hard and cruel man won't hear a word from an old woman, and she holding him from the sea?
It's a life of a young man to be going on the sea. And who would listen to an old woman with one thing and she saying it over?
Bartley, taking the halter.
I must go now quickly. I'll ride down on the red mare, and the grey pony will run behind me. The blessing of God on you.
He goes out.
He's gone now. God spare us and we will not see him again. He's gone now. When the black night is falling, I'll have no son left me in the world.
Why wouldn't you give him your blessing and he looking round in the door? Isn't it sorrow enough is on everyone in this house without your sending him out with an unlucky word behind him and a hard word in his ear?
Maurya takes up the tongs and begins raking the fire aimlessly without looking round.
You're taking away the turf from the cake.
The Son of God forgive us, Nora. We're after forgetting his bit of bread.
She comes over to the fire.
And it's destroyed. He'll be going till dark night, and he after eating nothing since the sun went up.
It's destroyed, he'll be. Surely there's no sense left on any person in a house where an old woman will be talking forever.
Cathleen, cutting off some of the bread and rolling it in a cloth, to Maurya.
Let you go down now to the spring well and give him this, and he passing. You'll see him, and the dark word will be broken, and you can say, God speed you, the way he'll be easy in his mind.
Will I be as soon as in it as himself?
If you go now quickly,
It's hard set I am to walk.
give her the stick, Nora, or maybe she'll slip on the big stones.
What stick?
The stick Michael bought from Connemara.
In the big world, the old people do be leaving things after them for their sons and children. But in this place, it's the young men do be leaving things behind for that do be old.
She goes out slowly. Nora goes over to the ladder.
Wait, Nora, maybe she'll turn back quickly. She's not sorry, God help her. You wouldn't know the things she would do.
Is she gone drowned by the bush?
She's gone now. Throw it down quickly, for the Lord knows when she'll be out of it again.
Nora getting the bundle from the loft.
The young priest said he'd be passing tomorrow, and we might go down and speak to him below if it's Michael's they are surely.
Did he say what way they were found?
There were two men, says he, and they rowing round with poteen before the cocks crowed, and the oar of one of them caught the body, and they passing the black cliffs of the north.
Give me a knife, Nora. The string's perished with salt water, and there's a black knot on it. It wouldn't loosen in a week.
I've heard tell it was a long way to Donegal.
It is, surely. There was a man in here a while ago. The man sold us that knife, and he said if you set off walking from the rocks beyond, it would be 7 days you would be in Donegal.
And what time would a man take in he floating?
Cathleen opens the bundle and takes out a bit of a stocking. They look at them eagerly.
The Lord spare us, Nora. Isn't it a queer hard thing to say? If it is his they are, surely?
I'll get his shirt off the hook the way we can put the one flannel on the other.
She looks through some clothes hanging in the corner.
It's not with them, Cathleen, and where will it be?
I'm thinking Bartley put it on him in the morning, for his own shirt was heavy with salt in it. There's a bit of a sleeve was of the same stuff. Give me that and it'll do.
Nora brings it to her and they compare the flannel.
It's the same stuff, Nora. But if it is itself, aren't there great rolls of it in the shops of Galway Fair? And isn't it many another man may have a shirt of it, as well as Michael himself?
Nora, who has taken up the stocking and counted the stitches, crying out.
It's Michael, Cathleen. It's Michael. God spare his soul, and what will herself say when she hears the story and Bartley on the sea?
Cathleen, taking the stocking.
It's a plain stocking.
It's the second one of the third pair I knitted, and I put up 80 stitches and I dropped 4 of them.
Cathleen counts the stitches.
It's that number, isn't it? Ah, Nora, isn't it a better thing? Ah, Nora, isn't it a bitter thing or to him of him floating that way to the far north, and no one to keen him but the black hag that do be flying on the sea?
Nora, swinging herself round and throwing out her arms on the clothes.
And isn't it a pitiful thing when there is nothing left of a man who was a great rower and fisher, but a bit of an old shirt and a plain stocking?
Tell me, is herself coming, Nora? I hear a little sound on the path.
She is, Cathleen. She's coming up to the door.
Put these things away before she'll come in. Maybe it's easier she'll be after giving her blessings to Bartley, and we won't let on we've heard anything the time he's on the sea.
We'll put them here in the corner.
They put them into a hole in the chimney corner. Cathleen goes back to spinning the wheel.
Will she see it was crying I was?
Keep your back to the door, the way the light will not be on you.
Nora sits down at the chimney corner with her back to the door. Maurya comes in very slowly, without looking at the girls, and goes over to her stool at the other side of the fire. The cloth with the bread is still in her hand. The girls look at each other, and Nora points to the bundle of bread.
You didn't give him his bit of bread?
Maurya begins to keen softly, without turning round.
Did you see him riding down?
Maurya goes on keening.
God forgive you. Isn't it a better thing to raise your voice and tell what you've seen than to be making lamentation for a thing that's done? Did you see Bartley? I'm saying to you.
My heart is broken from this day.
Did you see Bartley?
I seen the fearfulest thing.
God forgive you. He's riding the mare over the green head and the grey pony behind him.
The grey pony behind him?
What is it ails you at all?
I've seen the fearfulest thing any person has seen since the day Bride Dara seen the dead man with the child in his arms.
Ah,
Ah,
They crouch down in front of the old woman at the fire.
tell us what it is you've seen.
I went down to the spring well and I stood there saying a prayer to myself. Then Bartley came along and he riding on the red mare with the grey pony behind him. The Son of God, spare us, Nora!
what is it you've seen?
I seen Michael himself.
You did not, mother. It wasn't Michael you seen, for his body is after being found in the far north, and he's got a clean burial by the grace of God.
I'm after seeing him this day and he riding and galloping. Bartley came first on the red mare, and I tried to say, God speed you, but something choked the words in my throat. He went by quickly, and the blessings of God on you, says he, and I could say nothing. I looked up then, and I crying at the grey pony, and there was Michael upon it, with fine clothes on him and new shoes on his feet.
It's destroyed we are from this day. It's destroyed, surely.
Did the young priest say the Almighty God wouldn't leave her destitute with no son living?
It's little the like of him knows of the sea. Bartley will be lost now, and let you call in Amen and make a good coffin out of the white boats, for I won't live after them. I've had a husband, and a husband's father, and 6 sons in this house. 6 fine men, though I had a hard birth with each one of them, and they coming to the world. And some of them were found, and some of them were not found. But they're gone now, the lot of them. There was Stephen, and Sean were left lost in a great wind, and found after in the bay of Gregory of the Golden Mouth, and carried up the 2 of them on one plank, and in by that door.
She pauses for a moment. The girls start as if they heard something through the door that is half open behind them.
Did you hear that, Cathleen? Did you hear a noise in the northeast?
There's someone after crying out by the seashore.
There was Seamus and his father, and his own father again, were lost in a dark night, and not a stick or sign was seen of them when the sun went up. There was Patch, afterwards drowned out of the Cura, and that turned over. I was sitting here with Bartley, and he was a baby lying on my 2 knees, and I seen 2 women, and 3 women, and 4 women coming in, and they crossing themselves, and not saying a word. I looked out then, and there were men coming after them, and they holding a thing in the half of a red sail, and water dripping out of it. It was a dry day, Nora, and leaving a track to the door.
She pauses again with her hand stretched out towards the door. It opens softly, and old women begin to come in, crossing themselves on the threshold and kneeling down in front of the stage with red petticoats over their heads.
Is that Patch? Or Michael? What is it at all?
Michael is after being found in the far north. And when he's found there, how could he be here in this place?
There does be a power of young men floating around in the sea. In what way would they know it was Michael they had? Or another man like him? For when a man is 9 days in the sea and the wind blowing, it's hard set his own mother would be to say what man was in it.
It's Michael. God spare him. So they're after sending us a bit of his clothes from the far north.
She reaches out and hands Maurya the clothes that belong to Michael. Maurya stands up slowly and takes them in her hands. Nora looks out.
They're carrying a thing among them, and there is water dripping out of it and leaving the track by the big stones.
Is it Bartley it is?
It is surely. God rest his soul.
Two younger women come in and pull out the table. The men carry in the body of Bartley, laid on a plank, with a bit of sail over it, and lay it on the table.
What way was he drowned?
The grey pony knocked him into the sea, and he was washed out where there is a great surf on the white rocks.
Maurya has gone over and knelt down at the head of the table. The women are keening softly and swaying themselves with a slow movement. Cathleen and Nora kneel at the other end of the table. The men kneel near the door.
They are all gone now, and there isn't anything more the sea can do to me. I'll have no call now to be up and crying and praying when the wind breaks from the south, and you hear the surface in the east and the surface in the west, making a great stir with the two noises, and they hitting one on the other. I'll have no call now to be going down and getting holy water in the dark nights after some air. And I won't care what way the sea is when the other women will be keening. Give me the holy water, Nora. There's a small sup still on the dresser.
Nora gives it to her. Maurya drops Michael's clothes across Bartley's feet and sprinkles the holy water over him.
It isn't that I haven't prayed for you, Bartley, to the Almighty God. It isn't that I haven't said prayers in the dark night till you wouldn't know what I'd be saying. But it's a great rest I'll have now, and it's time surely. It's a great rest I'll have now, and great sleeping in the long nights after some air. If only a bit of wet flour we do have to eat, and maybe a fish that would be stinking.
She kneels down again, crossing herself and saying prayers under her breath. Cathleen to an old man.
Maybe yourself and Eamon could make a coffin when the sun rises. We have fine white boards herself bought. God help her, thinking Michael would be found. And I have a new cake you can eat while you'll be working.
Are there nails with them?
They're not, Colin. We didn't think of the nails.
It's a great wonder she wouldn't think of the nails, and all the coffins she's seen made already.
It's getting old, she is, and broken.
Maurya stands up again very slowly and spreads out the pieces of Michael's clothes beside the body, sprinkling them with the last of the holy water.
She's quiet now and easy, but the day Michael was drowned he could hear her crying out from this to the spring well. It's fonder she was of Michael, and would anyone have thought that?
An old woman will be soon tired with anything she will do. And isn't it 9 days herself is after crying and keening and making great sorrow in the house?
They are all together this time, and the end is come. May the Almighty God have mercy on Bartley's soul, and on Michael's soul, and on the souls of Seamus and Patch, and Stephen and Sean. And may He have mercy on my soul, Nora, and on the souls of everyone who is left living in the world.
She pauses, and the cane rises a little more loudly from the women, then sinks away.
Michael has a clean burial in the far north by the grace of the Almighty God. Bartley will have a fine coffin out of the white boards, and a deep grave surely. What more can we want than that? No man at all can be living forever, and we must be satisfied.
She kneels down again, and the curtain falls slowly. End of play.